Good morning. We are live. This is Attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined this morning by my co-host, Miss G, Miss Georgette Truen. How are you this morning, Miss G?
Tired. Thank you.
Thank you. You're tired. I see we have a special guest, Mr. David. Is it Wisehunt?
Weisenhunt.
Wise.
Wisenhunt. David, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing.
Good. Well,
On the way.
I appreciate you joining us this morning so early. Where are you calling in from?
I'm from Spokane, Washington.
Spokane. Very good, very good. And we're also joined by other co-host, Mr. G, Mr. Darren Guai. How are you, Darren?
I'm great, Mr. Davis. I'm great. Thank you for asking.
Darren's coming to us from Maine.
So, yeah, we're about as far apart as you can possibly be between the Washington and Maine points here.
Yeah, that's cross country right there. Hey, David, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
After college, I used to work as an accountant for a big firm, and I used to go to Spokane, Washington once a year for about a month. So I'm familiar with your city. Well, it's been 37 years, maybe 40 years, but you're in, what did they call that? Eastern Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember there was a river that ran through the city. Do I have a good recollection of that?
Yeah, the Spokane River runs through downtown and all that. Yep.
So the guy that I was working with at the firm, he lived in that area, and they just needed a body from Los Angeles or from another office in LA sent me. And I remember during lunch, we would go fishing, but not in that river, but like outside, shortly outside of the city. And I remember it being really, really good fishing. Is that still the case up there?
Yep.
He was a big, big fisherman.
Depends on which lake you go to.
So I guess CPS is in Spokane, Washington as well, isn't it?
Yep. Well, they call it Department of Youth Family Services now, but
they call it DY.
Department of Youth Family Services.
DYFS. Somebody recently asked me, what does CPS mean? And I said, well, it's a name that we use just generally, Child Protective Services. You see it on TV or on movies, but every county, every state calls their organization something a little bit different. But it's basically Child Protective Services, and they're funded by the federal government, and they make money when they come out and get involved in your family. We just call it different things in different places. Darren, what do they call it in Maine?
They actually just call it DHS. So they don't get any of those other fancy terms. They don't. We all label it CPS up here, but yeah, it's considered DHS.
In LA, where Miss G and I are, it's called DCFS. But Orange County, which is a county right next to us, calls it something else. I forget what they call it. And then another county that's right next to us in another direction, San Bernardino County, they call it something different. Yeah. And when I'm appearing in different counties, I don't even try to learn the name. I just call it the agency or the department, and everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Well, the D stands for demons. That's what I see the D standing for.
D stands for damn and a lot of things too. But is there a reason that they can't say different names? Are they like part of a different agency? Are they considered?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What is that?
Well, see, our government is divided into two parts: the state governments and the federal governments. Mm-hmm. Now, how many states are there? 50 states. So each state has its own government, all right? And a lot of the states run CPS through the state system. Okay. But some states run it through the county system, which means in that state, they've divided it up into counties, right? Just normally, like in California, I think there are 50 some counties, 57 counties. Each county has their own CPS.
Mm.
Each county has their own court system. Each county has their own sheriffs. So in California, it's administered county by county. But there are some places, like I was in Oregon, it's run by the state. It's not divided up between counties. So when you're actually battling in Oregon, you're actually battling the state government. Here you're battling in LA, you're battling the county governments. In Maine, what do? They do state or county?
No, it's state. It's definitely state.
Okay. Well, David, in your state, what is in Spokane, Washington? Is it state or county?
Well, anytime they take a child, they say state of Washington, but every county has a CPS.
Right.
And except for like Whitman County, they have, because they're such a small county, that most of their CPS cases run through Spokane.
Okay. And I think that may be the same in one or two counties in California. I forget what counties they are. They're so small that they just use the county system in the neighboring county. But anyway, David, what happened to you? What's going on up there?
Well, see, a few years back, me and my ex-wife, we had a daughter, and her name is Selena, and so we did third-party custody and open adoption with her parents, and they said nothing would change visitation-wise and stuff like that if we do the open adoption. Which after that they cut off all communication with me, and so. And then I was doing some research yesterday, found out she wasn't adopted till 2014, and me and my ex-wife had signed the paperwork agreeing to the open adoption back in 2012. And then my ex-in-laws, as of at least a year ago, gave up their rights to my daughter because they lost her to foster care because they couldn't handle her, quote, that's what they said, because she was acting out and everything. So she's been in foster care almost 5 years now.
How old is she?
She's 16 now.
And
do
you have any contact with your daughter?
She contacted me as of last Saturday. We've been conversing on Facebook here and there, and she was in Walla Walla because they moved her from the coast where her grandparents live to several different towns. She's been in Raymond, Washington, Aberdeen. She's been in a town next to Centralia. She's been in areas near Montesano. And then now they've moved her. Now they've moved her again from Walla Walla. Where to now? I have no idea.
Nice.
But the aspect is the whole point of doing the third-party custody and open adoption was to keep my daughter out of foster care. And I told my ex-in-law if she couldn't handle her at any point to reverse the adoption or whatever and send her home. But no, she's in the foster care system now, and then they're trying to put her in a mental hospital, which is she doesn't have schizophrenia. You can't diagnose schizophrenia in juveniles unless it's a family history.
Where is the mother involved?
Mother lives in Arkansas.
So is she involved? No,
not much.
Yeah. So you voluntarily let the grandparents adopt. Am I getting that story straight?
Yep.
And then they lost the child to CPS.
Yep.
And when CPS got involved, did they contact you to let you get involved?
Nope. What they did is they let I have a twin brother. They notified him. They notified my sister Terry, my adoptive mom Judith, my aunt and uncle, my grandparents, and they all told me.
And then did you try to go to court and get involved?
I called a couple years ago to talk with that one worker, and he goes, "Well, we usually don't let the biological parents know what happens when things like this happen." I'm like, "Well, it was an open adoption for one, and for two, when you're told that nothing's going to change visitation wise, and you're expecting to be able to see your kid, and they change everything on you, so basically you're lied to from the get go."
Are you surprised about that?
Yes and no, but it's like, it's like you expect family to actually hold up,
Yeah.
you know.
So sometimes they're the biggest liars, aren't they? I mean, I hate to say that, but
Facts. Facts.
that family shit gets kind of
Whoa, no language.
murky, right? Hey, let me tell you something. About seems like 6 months ago, I don't know. About 6 months ago, we had a woman on who lost her child to CPS in San Diego County. Her rights were terminated, and I believe the child was adopted for like 5 years. And then something happened. The adoptive parents couldn't keep her or didn't keep her. And all during this time, this mother, kept fighting for the child. Now, we had her on the show to tell the story, and I happen to know that the story is true because before she got the child back, she was looking for an attorney. And I was one of the attorneys that she called, and I actually referred her to the attorney she eventually used. And I talked to him and I said, is this really happening? Is this really true? He said, yeah. She got her child back and got her rights reinstated. So the moral of that story is never give up. So if you want to try to get this child back, you should start taking steps to get the child back.
Yeah, me and my aunt and uncle are filling out guardianship papers for a minor, is what they
Mhm.
call it here in Washington State. It used to be a non-parental custody, but now it's guardianship of a minor. But see, my one question is, since I'm the biological father, can I fill out those same paperwork that my aunt and uncle are, or is it a different set?
Well, here's the deal. I'm not licensed in Washington, but if you were in California, the answer would be yes. That can be filled out in California by any living human being. That doesn't mean that you're going to win, but it doesn't also mean you're precluded. You get me?
Yep.
Because I don't
And
know, and I'm not asking you to tell me what led to this open adoption, but whatever happened years ago, that's over and done with. And supposedly, if you're in California, you're supposed to be judged now at the time of the hearing or at the time of the new hearing. Will they bring up the old stuff? I'm sure they will. But that's for you to fight and to show that you're not that person or, whatever the situation was. You're just as in good a shape as other people. Now, the one thing that's really going to help you is that the child is 16 years old.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, at least in California, judges give deference to the wishes of a 16-year-old. And here's the reason why. When you become 16, 17, around that age, you know, everyone knows or everyone has this feeling who's been a parent that, a teenager, right? You have certain ideas of your own. And the typical thing that you hear about is that if we don't place the child where she wants to be placed or he wants to be placed, it's going to have a negative effect on the child. They may be running away, getting involved with people that they shouldn't be getting involved with, because everyone, I think it just as a human being, we all want to be wanted and loved. And if we can't be wanted and loved by the person we want, for example, you, the bio dad, we're going to look for it maybe in the wrong places. So judges start thinking about things like that, and they don't want that to happen. And so even though people think, well, David's no good, that was 5 years ago or whatever, Now she's 16, and she's talking to David on Facebook. They have some type of relationship that can probably get better with counseling and monitoring. So in my opinion, this is my opinion, you're as good as even the aunt and uncle. And here's the one thing that they're never going to be able to change. Even though she was adopted by someone else and is legally someone else's child, nobody's going to change the DNA,
Nope.
Mhm.
right? That can't be changed, even by the law. You're still the dad. You're still the bio dad.
Yep.
Right? And when we really take away things and all the fluff and everything and set it aside,
Mm-hmm.
you're the dad. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Yeah.
nothing's going to change that. And guess what? Deep in her heart and in her soul, she knows that. And
Mm.
there are, and I've heard people talk about this. I actually happen to think it's true that as human beings, we're always searching for our families,
Mhm.
those ties, those biological ties. There's something there that we can't really explain on paper, but she has a connection to you. Nothing's going to ever change that. Nothing, right?
Because
Because
she says she's wanting to come home.
yeah,
She's expressed it to me. So
right. So at some point, I mean, they're not going to be able to stop her. So it would be like, if you file the paperwork and you prove to be, a person um, that can take care of the child safely. I mean, most judges in California, anyway, in my opinion, would be hard pressed not to give the child back to you, because
mm,
the next thing she's going to do is start running away to you,
yeah.
right? And
But
that's just going to be a bad situation everywhere around. Go ahead, Miss G.
I just wanted to add, when your daughter comes back to you, and I know she will, because girls are very bonded with their dad as well, not just the mom, right? Um, they're going to go after her because she's now, she's going to be 16, or she's 16 now, or she's going to be 18 soon. If she has kids in the near future, right? If she has a
Mm.
relationship and have children, they're going to go after her. So my opinion, you should get the hell out of that state with her when she comes back to you. They will go after her.
Mm.
I get so many calls like that. Miss G, I was a foster care kid. I was adopted. Now I have my own family. Now they're coming after me because I ran away from the adoption home so many times. Blah 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 blah. They don't do drugs. I mean, at least a couple of people I spoke with, they said they was not drug related. There is runaway related, because now they think they have mental health issues because they were running away from the adoptive home. Now they're after their babies, newborn babies, right? So be careful with that. That's all I'm saying. Just be careful.
Mm.
I think that's good advice about being careful. I wouldn't necessarily pick up and move unless there was a reason to. And I'm not saying there is or isn't, but
Right.
that's something, she's right. You have to give it some thought.
Hmm.
Um,
She has to give it some thoughts too.
and
Yeah.
and I hate to say this, but I have seen this. It's almost like reoccurring business, reoccurring customers.
Yeah.
Once involved with the CPS, it seems like they always want to be involved with you or the children or their children. I get that really bad feeling sometimes because, there's a lot of things going on in a county the size of Los Angeles. Why are we seeing in some cases the same line of people and families, that are being involved? I mean,
Hmm.
are they really that bad of parents? Or are they just good customers that we can easily get to?
Yeah. Good
Because
customers.
no matter what you think, what my experience of over 30 years in
Mhm.
doing this type of law is this business, although they say they want to protect children, and sometimes I get the feeling they do, this is a business. This is a money-making, profit-generating, profit-oriented business.
Hmm.
And, I used to think government, and this was, when I was naive, I used to think government is there to help people. I used to think that. But listen, government is there to make money. They're
Yeah.
to be profitable. That's every business wants to be profitable. Every government wants to be profitable. And that's just the way our system is. You know, I recommended a book, and I should become a Amazon affiliate so I can, get a commission off this. There's a book I think everyone should read that is involved in a legal case especially in CPS, and it's called The Economic Analysis of the Law.
Hmm.
And it's a book that's recommended by, I think when I was in law school, recommended to first year students to read. It's kind of thick, and it, you may not want to spend time reading this, but if you read this book, it'll explain a lot of things about our system, our justice system, and our laws that you really had no idea about. And it really opens your eyes to what and how and why certain laws are made. You just think, oh, well, they're making laws to do good for me.
Who's the writer, Vincent? The writer of that book?
I think his name is Posner, Posner.
Yes.
Yep.
Is it the ninth edition? I believe
I,
it's the ninth
that,
edition.
I don't know. When I was in law school,
Oh no, that
decades ago, it wasn't the ninth edition, but there are
it was the
several.
first edition, probably.
Was it
There, there,
big
there are
stone book?
several men in the law named Posner that have been pretty famous. So you
Richard.
got to you got to make sure you have the right Posner. And the book is called The Economic Analysis of the Law.
Yeah, that's what
And,
it's called.
and when I first heard of this and I first looked at that book, to be frank with you, I was shocked. I was shocked. I was what, mid 20s or something, late 20s, and I had no idea that money was involved in, legal things regarding taking care of people as our government I thought was supposed to do. And everything is tied to money and taxes and revenue and federal funds and on and on and on. I don't know if you work or have a business, David, but
Yeah, I work at Jimmy John's, and then I also have my own bee business. I'm a beekeeper.
oh wow, I'm fascinated with beekeeping. By the way, we'll get back to that. But
Yeah.
look, when you work at Jimmy John's, your business is selling sandwiches,
I
right?
deliver them, so
Right. Okay. But they're not in business to just be nice people, right? They're in business to turn a profit. It's America. God bless them. Now, in your beekeeping business, do you sell your honey?
yep.
Okay. Right. You're not doing it. I mean, you do it because you like it, but you're not doing it just to throw the honey down the toilet. You're getting the honey to make money. And so everything that we do is tied to taking care of ourselves, taking care of our family, putting food on the table, blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing for governmental entities.
That's why I call CPS the children are just paychecks.
I've heard people say that before. It could be a little harsh, but you're probably right. They're definitely tickets for money.
I mean, that lady we just had on here the other night, she was in the system since she was, I believe she was 9 when she got in there. But once she got into her young teenage years, she was sick of being removed every couple of months. So she figured out a way to go tell the family, hey, get your foster license. That way you can get the money and I'll be able to do whatever I want. And this is a big fit, So the foster family that she got would just sign away her stuff saying everything's cool. They'd get the money and she got to do what she did. I mean, it's crazy, and I think we all know the facts here is that they're doing this way more than not. I mean, there's love. There's a lot of love in foster families. You can't say that all of them aren't that way. But when you listen to the kids of the foster system, I would say that it's over 50-50 supporting the unloved side is what these guys are feeling than not. I mean, and how can you blame a child for trying to get back?
Whoa. Okay. Mm.
One time, this is
Oh.
many years ago, I represented a woman who was a retired social worker.
Hmm.
Okay. And she didn't really retire because of age. She retired because she started another business. And the business was
Mm.
what they used to call group homes in Southern California.
Yeah, we have those
And
up here too.
so, I mean, it was an incredible business model. Now, some would say she did it to help, children who couldn't be placed back home or in foster homes. But it was a hell of a business,
Hmm.
getting that check every month um, from the government for each child in their home. And it was kind of like, I felt that she was doing it. I felt that she was doing it for both reasons,
Yeah.
to try to help kids and make money.
Well,
But she left being a county social worker to
mm,
do this business because she saw
the potential.
what these group homes were making before she went into the business herself,
I mean,
right?
in our society where we're a capitalistic or supposed to be a capitalistic type system, is
Right.
there flaw in people using this niche of an area to make a living?
Well, I say no, but here's the problem, and it happens everywhere.
Hmm.
At some point, the idea of turning the profit interferes with the idea of helping the child.
Hmm.
Now, and if you don't have a child to give, what are you going to do? And the only alternative, you go out and get some kids.
Right.
Somebody's abusing kids somewhere, or
Right.
at least so we think.
Hmm. Yeah. It's just I agree that the foster care system needs to be in it to be compassionate for the children, because that's such a critical role, especially the young ones, is a very critical role. That those,
Yes, I went through foster care. I was a foster
yes,
child.
right? Like
You
it's
know, I mean, my adopted parents, after they adopted me, the state tried to tell them this or that, and they said no. He's gonna do it. He's gonna grow up and be the person he wants to be.
Mhm. Were you all about that? I mean, did it work well for you, or did you like what was your experiences as being in the foster system? Like what was it?
Well, it varied, but it just depended on the home. But once I came to the Weisenhunts, I mean, they go, this child will, you know, learn what he's gonna learn, and you know, even though psychiatrists said that I would never hold down a job or keep my bills paid, I do all that.
Did you so when you met that final family, that was like did they fill a void for you somewhat at all, or was it kind of like
Well,
you were just a
well,
comfortable spot?
what it was is when I met my adopted parents, is they always wanted to have sons,
Hmm.
but they couldn't have any biological sons. They have three daughters.
Oh, okay.
So, um, and so they adopted me and my twin.
Hmm.
And so after that, they taught us a lot of things. And then the psychiatrist kept telling them that, oh, you might as well get them on Social Security income because they're not going to amount to much, because they're damaged, I'm like, yeah. And,
How
but
old, how
yeah,
old were you when you were adopted, you and your twin?
me and my twin were about 9 or 10 when we got adopted. And then, but we were taken away when we were 6.
Do you have contact with bio parents?
I have contact with my biological mother, and my biological father has passed away. Um, my stepfather, that my biological mom married, has passed away, and about 3 years ago, my adoptive dad passed away.
I have a question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, you could have experienced as a child, how would you rate the foster system and the adoption process that you were involved with?
Well, as far as my adoptive parents, they did a real good job at raising me. I don't think my biological mother could have raised me as well because she just laid around in bed. So, and still does to this day.
Did she
What-
lay around in bed because she was sick, or I mean, was she ill?
No, she's overweight. She was like over almost 900 pounds.
I'm sorry, what?
She was almost 900 pounds.
Oh wow.
She's down to about 240 now, but
Oh
yeah.
wow. Holy cow! Wow.
Oh,
Huh.
that's what you meant by laying in bed.
Jesus, Georgia.
I think Miss G thought of something different, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought she had cancer or something, or she was ill.
Wow.
Wow.
David, can I don't mean to be disrespectful, but are you exaggerating 900 pounds?
No, it was in the court papers.
My lord.
I've seen my whole case file.
But
Now, what did you?
who wrote that in the court papers, though? Was it? I mean,
CPS.
'cause I don't believe. Well, CPS writes a lot of stuff in the court documents, so I
Plus
don't know.
the doctors weighed her at the time of going to court. Yeah.
Did she actually go to court looking like 900 pounds, David? Because she cannot fit in a car. Or did they have to get a helicopter to put her there? To
Well, I think
transport your mom
I
there?
think she was probably about 450 weight
Yeah.
wise, but she
But then the social worker wrote 900.
exaggerated. Yeah.
Come on, I know they lie. Come on, give me a break. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It makes no sense. So even if she was 400 pounds, she can still take care of you. But see, the thing is, when you're that age, you're easily manipulated. You're easily fed things to your head to believe it. As you grow older, right? You take it with you. It's like you have a memory bank back there. You know, it opens when somebody mentions what happened to you, right? But
Yeah.
in reality, you don't know if your mom couldn't take care of you. I
Well,
mean, I
what
don't
were
know. Nobody
well,
can love you like your
David,
parents.
David, here you said you reviewed all the paperwork.
That's just
Okay,
wrong.
from the file. What was the reason why they took you away from your mother?
Well, see, I was sexually molested by a friend of my biological father's and my biological father.
Okay, so that's the reason why they removed you. It had nothing to do with your mother's weight.
No, but she didn't. She failed to protect us. So.
Right.
That's what they tell you, but that doesn't mean she failed to protect you. That's what they say about every mother out there, that she failed to
Miss
protect.
Miss G, you don't know the facts, and you don't.
I'm sorry. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. But that's just
Okay.
my opinion. I just don't
Okay.
like what they say about moms.
Okay, but you don't know any of the facts of this case, and we're not asking you, David, to share any of those facts. That's not what you're on today. But those are you got to be careful with statements like that because we don't know what David has gone through with or without his mother. And I went down this road. I just was curious how he looks at the foster care system, the
Right.
adoption process now as an adult. And I asked him to give me a score. He didn't give me a score, 1 through 10.
I first, in my experience with my adopted parents, I give them about a 10, because they raised me very well. But as far as the system goes itself, I would give the system, the way they treat children today, and still a 2.
Okay. All
I
right.
would not even give it 2, but okay.
All right. So let's talk about your daughter now. And have you talked to an attorney in Washington, in Spokane?
I haven't talked to one in Spokane. I talked to one the other day, but to retain them, it's like $3,800, and I currently don't have that. I make about $4,000 a month with what I do, but after all bills and everything,
Is there nothing that you can go to the American Disabilities because of the trauma you had from being a foster child? Maybe they could help you with that. Because I know that they're doing a lot of things now for people that are involved in CPS and foster situations and stuff. I'm being real about that. Like, there's a lot of things. Maybe you should check to the American Disabilities, and because of the trauma you went through, that they might be able to help you with legal representation.
That's a very good suggestion.
yeah, because right now, me and my twin, we can't discuss it, but we it's at the end stages But yeah, we pretty much sued CPS for what happened to us.
Mhm.
Good. That's actually good. Go after them. Go
Mhm.
after them hard
Mhm.
because of what they've done to you and your
Yeah,
brother.
right. They get every penny of it. Every penny that you're allowed to get, man.
Because
No.
that's not right what they're doing.
Mm-mm.
David, we're moving towards the end of the show. Were there any specific questions you wanted to ask me today?
Well, not that I can think of, but besides, I know that up here in Washington, that when I fill out those guardianship papers, the child has to be served too because of her age.
So what's the question?
So, question is on likelihood, even if we can't find an attorney, but likelihood if I do enough research, how likely and is it that, you know, of me getting my daughter with, even though she's already said she's willing to consent and sign whatever. So,
Is there anybody that's going to be fighting against it?
not that I know, because my ex-in-laws, they lost their parental rights. They signed theirs off.
Hmm.
So,
Well, it sounds like you have a strong case. You just
Mhm.
need to make sure that you do the paperwork correctly. Maybe this is what you should do. Instead of paying the $3,800 if you can't afford it, ask for like an hour consultation or a 2-hour consultation. That would be cheaper so that the attorney, he or she, can tell you what to do and how to do it. Right?
mm,
But I wouldn't suggest you just go into court without having talked to an attorney at least and gotten some advice.
yeah. And I'm gonna go to GU and because they've got up and coming lawyers practicing this and that. Because I'm gonna go to GU library tomorrow and talk to some and then
Good.
get so
Good. Tell us what GU stands for.
Gonzaga
Gonzaga.
University.
Gonzaga.
Yep,
They got a hell of a basketball program up there, don't they?
yeah.
Mhm.
And that's for
Okay.
all of our attorneys that have practiced any field has practiced there. Have
Oh,
came
really?
from Gonzaga, yeah.
Gonzaga is a
Well,
Jesuit university. Did you know that?
yeah. It's also a Catholic type
Yeah, yeah.
university.
The Jesuits are an order of priests within the Catholic Church. I went to a Jesuit law school and college and high school. Anyway, David, anything else you wanted to ask today?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for calling in and sharing your story with us. If you have any questions, you see that number at bottom right-hand corner.
Yep.
And also,
I
there's a number that's Miss G's private office number there under her nose on the screen.
yeah,
So you can write that number down and text it, or look at the live stream again, because this live stream will exist into eternity on 8 social media platforms. All right.
yeah.
Hey, Davis, I need you to
Wait, hold
look.
on, hold on, Mr. Guy, Mr. G. We lost you there. You're back.
Yeah, I fell off the screen there for a minute.
Go ahead, Miss G. What did you say? You need me to
Uh,
what?
no, I was gonna say I just forwarded you a message on your phone.
David, excuse me
Yeah.
for 1 minute while I look at Miss G's message.
Oh, I'm going to show you something. Watch this, Mr. D. Let's see what you think of this. Hold on, I can get it to work right. This is why I fell off the floor.
Okay. All right, David. You got our numbers.
Yep. I'm even getting your book. I just paid and bought for your book too.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you. My book,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
how.
coming. It's coming in the mail. It's one that they have to print off basically because it's print to order.
Oh, you bought it from Amazon then?
No, I bought it from Barnes and Noble.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know it was on Barnes and Noble. Oh, that's
Yep.
interesting. Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. Very
Right,
good. Well,
yours is the one that is when people buy it is print to order. So they
okay.
basically print the new book because they don't have it. Nowhere has it in stock. It's print to order.
Oh wow, that's good, right? That you're out of the book.
You know how much I make from that book, David?
Probably very little.
I think it's like 27 cents.
Yeah. Well, they
Well,
charge like $10 for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Amazon or the printer and Barnes and Noble, they get to keep all that money. No wonder why Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world.
yeah.
Oh,
I used to work for Amazon. They screwed my shoulder up.
oh, you used to work like at the warehouse or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, David. Thank you for calling in. If you have any further questions, give me a call, give Miss G a call, and keep us posted on what happens. Maybe we can have you back on the show in a month or two, and you can give us an update on what's happening with your 16-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
who seems to be, if the adoptive parents relinquish their rights, she's, I don't know if you realize this, but she's legally
An
parentless.
orphan.
She legally has no parents right now.
Yeah, she's legally an orphan.
Yeah. And I'm sure that that is not a good feeling for her. So
No,
you,
'cause she's acting out and everything else, and she told me she wants to come home. So
yeah, yeah.
Get a girl home.
Is she living in a foster home right now?
yeah, she was in Walla Walla foster home, and now they moved her again. Where to, I don't know, but they're also trying to keep her off social media.
You're
That
gonna
I
have to
think,
go, you're gonna have to probably go to CPS court and ask for file paperwork to get her back, because it sounds like she's under the jurisdiction of the juvenile court.
yep.
So filing in probate may not work. So don't be surprised if you come across a hurdle then. It may work. They may, in Washington, they may combine the cases. But if you did that in California, if she was under the CPS court jurisdiction and you filed in probate court, they'd probably dismiss the case because
Well, here the guardianship of minors filed in juvenile court.
okay, for that one. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. All right, David, we'll be talking to you. Keep us posted, and thank you again for being on the show today.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye,
All right.
David.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Mr. G, Miss G, thank you for being on the show today. Anything you want to ask me or comment on before we say goodbye?
As always, the lady first.
Miss
Jim,
G?
thanks. Appreciate that. There is
Journal.
actually new. There's actually a new story that I heard, which is true. It's actually, we talked about this before. You said that the CPS cases are confidential, correct,
Yeah,
David?
yeah.
Okay. So basically, no newspaper should have the case name, the children's name, the mother's name, the parent's name in general, and the social worker's name and all that, correct?
Well, only if the judge, the presiding judge, well, here in California at least, signs an order that it can be open to the public. Because one of the important things about the press is they help regulate and report on what happens in our court system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes they're given permission to publish all of that stuff. There was a movie, a documentary that I was in briefly, where they talked. I think there were 3 or 4 families, and from what I understand, they had to get the presiding judge and everybody's consent to talk about these cases. In a movie that's going to was disseminated, internationally. So
Mm-hmm.
the confidentiality isn't absolute, is what I'm trying to say. So there can be exceptions that you may or may not know about.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part. It was like a boom sound. But anyways, we don't know if the judge gave permission to these particular cases to be in the news. I mean,
Mhm.
in the paper. But the paper was in a laundromat. It was public. Like the paper was there, and the grandmother was there washing clothes, and she looked at the newspaper and she saw her the, the kids, the biological parents' names in there, and she couldn't understand why if it's private and we can't mention the social workers' names and can't mention the judges' names, we can't mention, I told her to come on the show. So,
Okay, tell her to come on the
and
show.
she
Tell
sent me
her.
the newspaper, by the way. She sent it
Okay,
to me last night. But,
tell her. Tell
but
her to contact Grace.
I will. I really did. But my last question is, how do you know that the judge gave approval for this to be in the newspaper?
Oh, I don't. I would only guess because if not, the newspaper would be subject probably to a big fat lawsuit, and I don't think they would have done that, without
Okay.
the right paperwork.
Okay. Now, would that be subject to uh, a lawsuit from the parents for exposing them if the judge did not? But how do they know? How do parents know if the judge? Do they go to court or do they have to file something to know
Mhm.
if the judge
Yes, and
approved it?
they through their attorney can just access the file and see if there's an order.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, if there's no order, not only could they be sued, but it's actually in California anyway, it's a crime.
Thank God. Okay. Then I will go ahead and let her know.
All right. Mr. G, anything you want to say or question for today?
The only thing I would maybe for a moment we could talk about, like what we were talking about earlier, with that gentleman, and the fact of like reinstatement of rights that so many states now are starting to reintroduce. If your children have been TPR'd, for say, if there's certain circumstances, then there you are able to, um, I guess, you don't get your rights back. They say you get different, um, new established rules or whatever. They don't necessarily give you your original right.
Well, hold on a second, because I don't think any state has passed legislation for that. A lot of
Maine has Bill
people are
1152.
talking about it. A lot
Yeah,
of people are
Maine.
talking, and from state to state, I bet the law will be different.
Mm,
There'll be some states where you get full rights back. There'll be some states where you get modified rights back,
mm,
and it just depends on what the modification is.
mm,
You know,
mm.
but I think that the states, people are starting to talk about these laws because so many people have been, screwed over in the
Right.
CPS courts. And now, the legislatures are saying, well, wait a minute, we got these people who are, complaining and complaining and complaining. And oh my God, they vote.
Hmm.
I might lose my seat. I better try to fix this.
Right.
Right. And so
Well,
this is an answer that's happening. I read a proposed law. It's not law though yet, or I don't think it's even going to become law. But I read something from Minnesota, from the state of Minnesota. There's a guy there, a CPS advocate, that's very, very active.
what the heck is
Um,
his name? The family
he's
first
kind of
guy.
a tall
Yeah,
African American guy. I forget
yeah,
his name, but he's on the ball.
yeah,
I
family
asked
first.
Grace one time to try to talk to him, get him on the show, but he's really on the ball,
Hmm.
trying to get things done in Minnesota because I think no, I don't think, I know he was a victim in Minnesota.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know
went
if he ever,
missing for a little while. Actually, he was missing for a little bit of time.
oh, really?
So
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure what happened to him. Um, but I think me and Miss G actually talked about it on the show. I forget what the gentleman's name is.
Yeah.
But
He
he
was very,
actually went and represented himself, and he got his two children back, and he
okay.
started.
He did get them back. Okay.
Yeah, he has a huge firm that is dedicated to helping um, families, that need help. He has all kinds of programs to help families and everything. Try to
Right.
think off the top of my head what his name is. Um,
He
not.
actually, I think, was one of the first people to
Mm,
focus on reunification services
mm.
for clients, during a CPS case.
Yeah, he's done a
Right?
lot to pave the way.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, folks, I want to thank you both for joining me, Miss G, Mr. G,
Hmm.
and we'll see everyone tomorrow night at
Hey, do
7 p.m.
you see a
Have a
little
good
guy?
day.
You see a
Bye
little
bye.
guy down there?
Huh?
Do you see the little thing next to me? Look at the bottom. You see the little graphic? There you are.
Oh my goodness, Darren. Do you have something brown on your nose, Darren? Do you have something brown on your nose? Because I see
I
something
don't know. Let
brown
me
there.
borrow your tissue first, Joette.
Yeah,
Hey,
right there,
Darren,
Darren. Just
give
wipe it
that
out.
give that
Wipe
to
it out,
Grace.
baby.
And
Wipe
I
it
will.
out.
give
I
that
was
to Grace, and we'll make that the new background.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Right.
Darren.
All right.
Wipe it out, babe.
Yeah.
Wipe it
I'll
out.
see you
I'm
guys
the better
later.
student. I'm the better student.
Bye.
You're
See
so
you guys
dumb.
later. Bye
So
bye.
sad for you.
Bye bye.